What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering. We got an interesting update in the Blackhawk helicopter incident in DC that took the life of about 70 people, including apparently an interesting, important piece of safety technology that was turned off during the flight for no apparent reason. I've spoken to a lot of people about this, spoken to family members, and I do think it's important to lead by saying, look, a lot of people didn't survive that day. And, whatever we know about it or don't know about it, I think they have to be kind of at the front of our knowledge. A lot of focus is on the Blackhawk pilot, but let's not forget the 70 people on that America Airlines, the other people on the helicopter too, everyone that day, and the fate that they ultimately met. We're going to talk about this a little deeper on the live stream today too. Thanks, everyone, for subscribing over to Quartercast. We're up to 67,000 people there. Trying to reach 100,000, so I'm going to need a bunch of people today. If we can, it'll be linked in the description. Or download the Rumble app and follow the Quartering. I'm so close to 280,000 subscribers there. We live stream every day at 1 Eastern. So I'm asking you on this Friday to give our live stream a chance. Even if you can't watch it when it's live, you can watch it later. It's me, Hannah Claire, Melanie Mack, Luke Rodkowski, Six Hexenhammer, Gothics, and so many more every day at 1 Eastern over on rumble.com/quartering or on Quartercast. So if you're a one app only person, please follow Quartercast. Blackhawk's tracking tech was turned off when it crashed into the plane as mangled wreck is pulled from the Potomac. Here we have just regular stock footage. I thought that'd be more interesting. This is part of, so they're just pulling, they've got a crane on a barge and they've got FBI there. They've got all these people. Vital tracking technology inside the Army Blackhawk helicopter was turned off for, quote, no compelling reason when it collided with the passenger plane in Washington, D.C. last week. The Blackhawk was performing a routine training mission in an effort to renew 28-year-old Captain Rebecca Lobach's annual certification when it's crashed into American Airlines Flight 5342 as it was making its final descent at Reagan National Airport just before 9 p.m. on January 29th. When the chopper went down, the Blackhawk's automatic dependent surveillance broadcast, the ADSB, otherwise known as, was disabled. A system which shares the aircraft's exact position, altitude, and speed. Senator Ted Cruz told the New York Times Thursday. The technology also includes a display that shows pilots the location of other aircrafts, both in the sky and or runway, and allows air traffic control not just to rely on radar tracking, which could have a delay of a few seconds. There's a lot there said in that paragraph. So, first of all, according to Ted Cruz, there was no reason to have their turned off. Now, many helicopters, military helicopters, can turn off their ADSB during continuity of government missions so that nobody can track where the government officials are being flown. But Ted Cruz, a Republican from Texas, said that was not the case of the time at this crash. So it would make sense you might turn this off so people can't track you if you're getting VIPs to safety. We get that. During a training mission, there is no reason for that. The implication here, now, is that something the pilot would have done, the crew chief would have done? We don't know who would have done that and why they would have done that. Would it have for sure stopped this crash from happening? It's hard to say. It happened so quickly in such a short, geographical location. So there was only maybe 30 seconds. Would the airliner have been able to see the helicopter more clearly? Maybe. Could they have pulled up in time? Probably not. Would the helicopter have seen certain information maybe more clearly? That's difficult to know. But again, the technology includes a display that shows other pilots the locations of other aircrafts, both in the sky or runway, and allows ATC not just to rely on radar tracking, which could have a delay of a few seconds. So ATC, we know that air traffic control already radioed into the helicopter saying you need to have visual separation, you need to move. And they did do that. The problem was they were looking at the wrong plane. Again, still, for me, a clear indicator that this was just a terrible accident. I know a lot of people got on my case and said I folded after I talked to the pilot's family. I'm not saying I know the answer. But what I am saying is accidents happen every day. The military withholding the name, sure, that's very suspicious looking. The family telling me directly, not the military, the family telling me directly, hey, we did this so people wouldn't, brigade our social media and all this stuff when we're trying to grieve. That also makes sense. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm just saying you have to at least consider it as a possibility. Now, he noted that the helicopter was equipped with a transponder to broadcast this location, but ADS-B is far superior technology. The United States Army would not confirm Cruz's claims about the tracking system to the New York Times. We're going to let the investigation play out and not get ahead of the NTSB findings, Colonel Roger Cabanis of an Army spokesman told the outlet. Now, that is a huge question. That's a huge question for me. Why was that turned off? Now, you would understand why that's turned off in, if the Capitol was under attack, like a literal attack, not like when I say my YouTube channel's under attack. But you would have no reason to fly without that during any training mission. There is no valuable training that you can get from turning that off. That's to protect the other planes and help ATC. We're going to. The report came as crews retrieved the mangled remains of the Army helicopter from the depths of the Potomac River. Days earlier, authorities confirmed that the Blackhawk helicopter was in fact flying 100 feet above the limit for helicopters in that commercial airspace. It was flying at 300 feet, but the maximum permitted altitude for choppers in the air was 200 feet. Black box data recovered from the wreckage in the Potomac has also indicated that that situation likely occurred, but the NTSB Safety Board was waiting on the air traffic control data to confirm the high altitude. Radar data is rounded to the nearest 100 feet, which means if the helicopter is flying anywhere between 251 and 349 feet. Meanwhile, the passenger plane was at 325 feet at the time of the crash. Well, we know for a fact that the helicopter was at 325 feet. That's why it's not a crazy leap that I need every little fact to confirm. If we know X is 325 and Y equals X, then we know that Y equals X, Y equals 325. That's like simple algebra, right? We don't need the data. A split second before the crash, the plane's pilot did make an effort to direct the aircraft upwards in an effort to avoid the oncoming helicopter. We do now know also that everybody has been recovered. I think that I don't know if you can call that good, but if I had a family member, I wouldn't want them their bodies freezing and being stuck in the river, being gawked at by people when it eventually resurfaces floating down the river somewhere. So they recovered everybody. Again, the Telegraph writes, Blackhawk helicopter had a safety system turned off during the Washington plane crash. I mean, you could make the argument that, it's obvious why you would have this, right? It's obvious why you would have this, but I don't know why you would have it. There's no, I cannot think of a single reason why you would want this in a training mission. It's just not, there's no value in it. You're only making it more risky for everyone else. I wanted to pull up this other, now I don't know how Ted Cruz got this data before everyone else. Well, let's go here. Ted Cruz says he's investigating California high-speed rail. Nope, that's not it. Here, the New York Times covered it. Army helicopters tracking technology was turned off at the time of the crash. This tracking technology would have made it easier for ATC to track them. We know that ATC did in fact call out to the plane. Army helicopter tracking turned off. again, I don't work ATC. I've gotten a few emails from ATC people. We do know that they were operating on 50% staff. There should have been double the staff members working that particular tower at the time, where you would have had one person dedicated to helicopter traffic. So, again, the pilot and the crew of the helicopter have that ultimate responsibility. We still don't know. Was the transponder, was the helicopter's altimeter malfunctioning? Maybe the helicopter read that it was at 200 feet and they were really at 300 feet. That we need the NTSB to know, but I don't know how they would really be able to tell that. They can figure crazy stuff out. They reassemble these crashes, they figure it all out. So you have, maybe there was an altimeter issue. ATC was understaffed. Maybe they could have made more spirited calls for the helicopter to change course. Maybe if ATC had that transponder data, or not the transponder data, but the safety device data, right? The ADSB. If it had the ADSB data, it might have seen the height it was at and been able immediately to know, hey, you're too high, lower. We have a cascade of failures here. And I think there's still a lot of questions out there for the families of everyone that was on the American Airlines, for the families of those that were in the Blackhawk helicopter. Did somebody turn off that safety device and not tell the pilots? I don't know. But it seems like an unnecessary risk to me. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. We'll talk more about this on Quartercast today at 1 o'clock. I've got Luke Rodkowski and Gothics co-hosting today. If you're a YouTube-only viewer, please go subscribe to Quartercast, link in the description. If you're open to downloading the Rumble app, following the quartering, I'm not saying you have to watch everything there, but I would absolutely love it if you watch our live stream there. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it, and we'll talk to you again real soon.